The honourable member for Huron-Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to rise today to speak to the Canada-Korea Free Trade Agreement. When I think to the riding of Huron-Bruce and what this free trade agreement will mean to our riding, it's very significant. There's no doubt about it. In Huron and Bruce counties, agriculture, light manufacturing, tourism are really the key pillars, and energy as well, I guess, would be another huge contributor to our local economies. But when we think of agriculture, we produce everything that this country wants and everything that they need. That's why it was so significant when the Prime Minister made his announcement, and certainly the announcement in September, that we were going to be able to move forward on this on this deal. The Korean economy is the 15th largest economy in the world. It's the 4th largest in Asia, and it has 50 million people in its country that know and understand the quality products that are made right here in this country. Agriculture exports, just in Ontario alone, at this juncture, are 68 million, and definitely in no time at all, we will see that grow and grow and grow, and quite likely double, triple, and quadruple. If we think of what has tariffs on it today, of the products that are grown right in Huron-Bruce, the riding, let's just pick off the easy ones. Pork and beef, obviously, are pretty obvious ones. Soybeans, identity preserved soybeans, white beans, Azuki beans, navy beans, the list goes on and on, kidney beans. If you average all that in together, the average tariff rate, when you average them all in together, is 52.5%. So when you put that in context, what a Canadian dollar looks like 2 years ago, a year ago, even what it is today, the currency has very little impact. It does have some, but when you factor in some of the tariff rates on some of these products, it makes it terribly uncompetitive when dealing against the United States and the European Union. So this is a great deal. This is a great deal for producers from one coast to the other, but certainly in Huron-Bruce, it's a really big deal. The market for pork in Korea is $1.1 billion annually. The market for beef in Korea is $1.3 billion annually, and certainly in the last number of years, our market share has continued to decrease. We have a very small share of the market relative to the U.S. and relative to the European Union. By putting this deal together, ratifying this deal and getting it moving, we have the ability now to change the momentum and start growing into that market and taking away some of the market share by both the EU deal and the American deal. From 2010 to 2013, the pork market share went from 14% to a little under 9% at 8.9%. That represented a $22 million decrease. And at the same period of time, the U.S. and the EU, their share increased 10% to nearly over three quarters of the market. The duties on pork are averaged out when you look at fresh, chilled, and frozen is 25%. Those will decrease over the next 13 years, and January 1st, it's going to allow our producers to start being able to trend with both the U.S. and the EU. Very important. And certainly in Huron-Bruce and Perth County, which is right beside Huron and into Wellington, there's a huge number of pork producers, and certainly they've experienced many, many difficult times, but they're actually starting to recover, and this year will be one of the better years they've had in certainly a decade. So a deal like this helps to increase that momentum and helps to allow the economy to grow and expand in a riding such as mine. Beef has seen the same trajectory as pork the last number of years, going from 9.6 million to 6.7 million. And their duties are actually higher, Mr. Speaker, than pork. They're 40 to 72%. and they will be decreasing over the next 15 years, which will be important as well. Beef in Huron, beef in Bruce, and to our neighboring counties in both Wellington and Perth, they have struggled, certainly with the price of land and other issues that contribute to the profitability in the beef market. They have had their struggles, but again, like pork in the red meat sector, the last couple of years they have had better years, and certainly the price of their fat cattle is if not at or near all-time highs. So doing deals like this allows the red meat sector to continue to grow. And if we look at the hundreds and thousands of acres of corn grown in Huron and Bruce and Perth and Middlesex and Wellington counties, the corn inputs certainly provide a huge input into the beef and the pork. So vitally important, and helps the economy grow, the agriculture economy grow. Another one too that people may not think to, but certainly does have an impact as well, is in the spirits. Spirits Canada, obviously Jan Westacott, many people have probably quoted Jan in the House, but there's smaller distilleries. There's certainly the large ones that Jan represents, but there's the smaller ones as well. Stillwater Distillery, one that I've toured in Concord, Ontario, Barry Steen and Barry Bernstein, they have a 100% rye whiskey. And so the tariffs on that product are 20% if they want to sell into the Korean market. They'll be eliminated. They'll be at zero. That's it. And what the beautiful thing about that is small distilleries such as theirs, or even the large ones, can continue to work with Canadian rye growers. And whether it's in Alberta or whether it's in southwestern Ontario, people such as, or companies such as Stillwater Distilleries, when you have those tariffs, they become competitive in a market like Korea. We know since 2008, and when the ratification of both the EU and the American deal came into place, they're basically, their market, the Canadian market for spirits in Canada, was cut in half. This is a chance for them to once again gain momentum. And like I said, Mr. Speaker, when those distilleries can work with growers, it helps to diversify their economy. It helps to diversify their crop rotation. And so that's very exciting for farmers as well. In Huron, especially in Huron County, Mr. Speaker, and now we're getting into Bruce County as well, the specialization around identity preserved beans is really becoming a science. It's really becoming perfected. Companies like Thompson's, P&H, Huron Commodities, and Snowblin's out of Lucknow, they have really worked with growers to perfect this identity preserved bean. Koreans want this bean more than they want American beans. They know it's a higher quality, it's our climate, it's our soil, and the premiums that farmers get, just the premium for growing it, forget the price, but the premium can be over $2 and as high as some cases, I think last year, $3.50 a bushel. So when you factor some fields are 50 bushels to the acre times 100 acres, that's a lot of premium. That's a lot of dollars in the pockets of farmers, and that's a positive thing, Mr. Speaker. The tariff on those IP beans is almost 500%. Think of the impact when that tariff is reduced to zero, and it's going to allow companies like Huron Commodities to compete and succeed in this market. These are big deals. Who are some of the beneficiaries? I know my time's running out. Maybe in the answer portion I can talk a little bit, but who are the beneficiaries in Huron-Bruce of the deal? Farmers, obviously. Higher prices for everything they grow and everything they sell. But farm machinery dealerships. Farmers have more dollars in their pockets to reinvest in their equipment and operations. Growers, or processors, pardon me, like Huron Commodities. They have a chance to grow, expand, and develop, and all the companies that supply them. R&D. Farmers are allowed, farmers have the profit, they can reinvest. Just using one example, GPS systems in their tractors that work with planters, that work with combines. These are all things 5-6 years ago growers in my area really didn't have the ability to use the technology, but also the profit. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, something I didn't think we'd see, certainly in the last 5 years, but pork producers are actually starting to build new barns again. This is good for cement companies, people that own gravel pits, builders, steel, you name it. They're starting to have a rebirth, really, of building in pork barns. So that's important. Noon Industries in Sebringville, in the member from Perth Wellington, his riding, they've grown, they've doubled in size. These are big. Trucking companies, rail lines, ports, harbors, we all benefit with this deal, Mr. Speaker. Very exciting. I know my time's come to an end. Happy to take any questions.
Question commentaire, questions and comments. The honourable member for Leeds-Grenville.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The member from Huron-Bruce has been very active on this, and I know that it's something that definitely benefits his riding, much the way that these benefits will come to my riding of Leeds and Grenville, which has a very large agricultural industry. So the member said that he had more to talk about in terms of the benefits to his riding. I'd like him to expand upon that.
For Huron-Bruce.
Well, thanks very much, and I'd also like to congratulate the member on his charity hockey game he had last week, and he raised over $100,000 for charity. And I'd also like to point out, Mr. Speaker, it's the first time in 25 years I think I've scored 2 goals in a game, so that was certainly a milestone for myself. But the benefits to producers in Huron and Bruce counties, again, are very significant. If you look at just what it allows, what perfecting and growing those soybeans are able to produce in premiums. Over $3 a bushel for premiums. This is what allows farmers to fix their driving shed or build a new driving shed. This allows them to buy a new tractor, or at least have the confidence and faith that they can buy a new tractor. It allows them to work with the University of Guelph, Ridgetown College, the seed companies, to be able to look at other generations, new iterations of the seed for higher yield, better protection against pests, be able to dry their, to be able to mature their crop. We've done a partnership with Guelph Hensel Co-op on a white bean project a number of years ago. And these are the kind of investments when there's profit in a market that you can see. Trade deals like this keep profit in the market.
Questions and commentaires.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Musqueam-Neigette-Musqueam Basque. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask my colleague from Huron-Bruce. Well, actually, this is a new agreement, and we have good trade relations with South Korea. But given that it's a new agreement, it's a very important one, and that there were certain problems, especially with non-tariff barriers, would he be in favor of a decision by the House or made by the International Trade Committee to establish a mission, a regular mission to South Korea to take stock of the progress of the implementation of this Canada-South Korea trade agreement to ensure that the agreement is being implemented properly?
Well, you know, what we're talking about here is tariffs. A lot of the work that has caused problems in the past, and I'm glad he brought this up because it doesn't directly deal with this question, but sanitary and phytosanitary measures, these are some of the impediments that have caused us trade problems in the past, where we have an agreement, but yet the other country can use some sort of a condition to either slow, stop, or never allow. Pork International has done a great job. That's something we've set up to educate processors over there or educate consumers over there. We have veterinarians that are over in these countries that work with government officials so they better understand how, if there's a problem in this country, we can contain it so it doesn't get to their country. Those are very important measures, sanitary, phytosanitary measures that we've been working on. I know the Minister of Agriculture has traveled around the world working and making sure that our departments are doing this so that officials around the world are educated and know that Canada has the absolute world-leading, world-class sanitary and phytosanitary measures. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Westmount Ville-Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the member for his statements. I've had the opportunity to go to his riding. It's a beautiful riding. In fact, I caught myself thinking, wouldn't it be nice if this might one day become a Liberal riding? I have to admit, that went through my head. But I want to commend him on his homework. This is a man who obviously has looked at how the agricultural economy of his riding will benefit from this, and I congratulate him for being very, very much aware of and he provided many examples of different products that stand a good chance of making it into South Korea. So that's a great thing. He's obviously doing his homework. I would like to ask him if he has had the chance to look at the Trans-Pacific Partnership and whether he sees good opportunities coming forward with respect to that potential future trade agreement. Thank you.
The honourable member for Huron-Bruce.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've also been to his riding, and I can understand why he would be optimistic about the prospects in Huron-Bruce. Unfortunately, he may not know they only get 9% on Election Day in 2011, so they certainly have a lot of work to do there, but, you know, you never know what can happen. Anyways, the important thing is with TPP is that we continue to negotiate. We're working on behalf of Canadians. We're working on behalf of Canadian industry to grow our markets without the barriers of tariffs. That's the most important thing. So you have to be in negotiations with a big agreement like TPP. I hope we continue to move forward. But if we can do deals like Canada-Korea while we're working on TPP, let's do it. And thank you very much for your time.
Please.